the people of UK who think this Putin-loving free speech imposter and Trump sycophant will protect freedom in your country, come on over to America and see what Trump and MAGA are doing to destroy our freedom.
Well, that was the Democrat Congressman Jamie Raskin there. He joins us live now. Thank you for being with us. I have to say, I've had a lot of people contacting me on social media suggesting getting you on as a guest. You've obviously become a bit of a sensation. How did you find Nigel Farage?
Well, I think he found me. Actually, we were over on a tour in Brussels and in London and Dublin, and he met with our delegation and brought some other, similar rightward thinking people. They delivered a presentation for an hour about free speech. The Democrats had a chance for an hour, and 3 minutes into my presentation about the sorry state of freedom of speech in America, where Donald Trump is trampling academic freedom, media freedom, press freedom, personal rights, he exploded and said he wasn't going to sit there and listen to that because we're here to talk about free speech, not Donald Trump, but I'm talking about free speech and Donald Trump. You can, when it's over, the way we do in a free speech conversation, but he couldn't handle it and said he had reserved the room and the room's time was up, and then he called it off, although he proceeded to filibuster for about another 10 or 15 minutes. So that was our first encounter. I objected. He said I was a guest in the country, act like a guest. I said he was a host and he should act like a host. He told me I was the most pig-headed person he'd met in his life, and I told him that we had a revolution against people like him. So that was our first introduction.
So you got on really well.
Special relationship is safe.
Yes. So they brought him back to the House Judiciary Committee to liken your country to North Korea, saying that it has essentially become an authoritarian free speech censorship regime. And, so I did some basic cursory research about refuges, for example, calling for the anti-war rallies that he disapproves of. I mean, he feels the very first test of a commitment to free speech, which is whether you can allow people who don't agree with you to have their free speech. But he railed against the police, saying they completely fallen down on the job, were Gus, because they did not shut down an anti-Gaza war rally. And then when I posed the question to him, why is a free speech advocate, he wouldn't allow other people to rally? He said, well, he would, but that day was very sensitive and tender for him.
Now,
Armistice Day. And I said, I just said we have the freedom of speech 365 days a year. That's what the freedom of speech is. In other words, someone's free speech always offends somebody else. And if you are going to censor people's speech because someone else is offended or hurt by it, then you don't have free speech.
Look, I think a lot of people in the UK would disagree with the characterisation of being like North Korea, right? But there have been a couple of cases, just trying to put the other point of view, where people feel free speech has been curtailed. We had the comedian Graham Linehan being arrested at Heathrow for tweets that he posted about transgender people. Do you think that, I guess, it is fair that some people are alarmed at what they see as an infringement of free speech?
Well, look, but we have not treated tweets as incitement to violence, although arguably that was. But, we saw the same kind of thing during January 6th, where people were tweeting incitement, including Donald Trump. And it's not been treated that way. And obviously, that is a big lurch forward. But the point is to have some sense of perspective about the whole thing. I read from the Journalists Without Borders description of all the countries in the world. They said that freedom of press and speech was safest in Norway. That was number one. The bottom was North Korea, 179. UK, I think, was number 20. And America under Donald Trump has fallen a couple of ranks down, and we're now like 57 or 58. So under Donald Trump, we're in no position to be lecturing you about the state of freedom of speech. All of these are complicated questions, and we should have discussion and debate about them and work together as democratic allies to advance free speech. But that's not what his program is. He's allied with the dictators of the world. He said that the political leader he admires most is Vladimir Putin, who jails journalists and his political opponents. And we know Alexei Navalny died in his prison after Putin poisoned him. So we should keep some clarity about who's on the side of the free democratic world and who's on the side of the autocrats.
You become a bit of a, I think it's fair to say, like a social media sensation since taking on Nigel Farage. Do you think, that should be the message to Keir Starmer, that he needs to really, I guess, go for him a little bit more in order to bring him down in the polls?
Well, I think something similar exists with Donald Trump. Like when you're on the inside of a society, Trump knows how to navigate different kinds of cultural byways to make it sound like what he's doing is normal. But he is involved in destroying our free democratic institutions as an authoritarian. And a lot of times it's easier to see it from abroad. And I'm very clear-eyed about this Nigel Farage guy. He means no good for your society. And if you were to end up putting him in charge to make Britain great again, you're going down the road of Donald Trump, and that's tariffs and economic dislocation, and it's violation of people's basic civil liberties and freedoms. It's trampling of academic freedom in colleges and universities. It's telling law firms and judges what they can do and cannot do. That's the opposite of freedom.
And then just finally, you seemed very well prepared, right? You seemed very well versed in the workings of the United Kingdom when you made your speech against Nigel Farage. Did you get any help from anyone UK side on it? Any research?
Well, I know a lot of Anglophiles, and I've got a Shakespeare compendium right by my bed. So, I think that people who seek to be educated, learned people have respect for your society and your culture and what it's really all about. But I would not allow a political fraud like Nigel Farage to represent the people of Great Britain.
OK, it's been good to talk. Thank you very much for taking the time. Thank you.
You bet.